Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to episode 30. I love that number, 30. I think the age of 30 was a good age. Episode 30 is fun to say. And this one is all about the brunch boom. That is the name that we had brainstormed when we were coming up with our first, I think, 40 episode topics. I don't know if I love it today, but this is going to be all about brunch. So it's the title we had come up with is Brunch Boom, Capitalizing on the Brunch Craze, which I don't think is something new. I think it's pretty uh, obvious that people love brunch. Maybe not the people who work brunch, but customers, guests love brunch, love a good brunch. So that's what this episode is dedicated to. Now, I think I should start off by saying that I do not at all believe that every restaurant is suited or should be offering brunch. By no means. As a matter of fact, in my restaurant, forever ago, we did attempt to do a brunch. I think for a couple of months, maybe it was a couple of weeks. No, it's probably I don't know, somewhere between a couple of weeks and a couple of months. It didn't work, and we put out a fantastic. The food was great, the drinks were great, it was fantastic. It just didn't work, and here's why. It wasn't worth the taxing of the staff after a Saturday night or a Friday night, getting up so early to come in and prep for a morning brunch shift. That's number one. It was not worth what it was doing to them. That's a lot. So unless it makes sense for you to have a completely separate staff that only comes in and does brunch for you once or twice a week, which I can't imagine how the numbers would work on that. You have to be really careful about maxing out the bandwidth of your current team in offering brunch at your restaurant. So I just want to put that out there right away. It might not be for you. But if there's any way that it is a great way to not only have fun, make money, but endear customers and your guests even more so to you, and showcase yourself to new people who may have not have tried your restaurant for lunch or dinner or whatever else you've been serving prior. So there's a lot of great, wonderful benefits to brunch if you can do it and it makes sense for you to do that. So starting with that, if you're on the fence, let's say when I'm talking about this, I'm picturing, upper middle casual to bistro type, finer dining type restaurant, somewhere in there. So not fast food. I don't think fast food's going to do brunch. So not fast food. So, so it's definitely a sit down, well thought out type restaurant. If you're on you're in the middle thinking, well, might be able to do it. People have asked about it. Our restaurant is in a location where people do go out to brunch, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe I should try it, but the chef is going to kill me or whatever. Hear me out then. I feel like there is a way that you can make brunch fun and worth it for everyone, or almost everyone. I mean, you're never going to please everybody. But here's a few things about it. If you're pretty certain, and I mean by pretty certain, like 90% or more sure, that if you were to open your restaurant for brunch and people would show up, then let's go with it, right? So you're in a location, people have been asking about it. Every other place that's open for breakfast or brunch on the weekends always has a wait. That's another really good indicator. If there's always a wait, you always see people outside waiting. That means obviously there's a market there for brunch. So can you hop into that market? Maybe. Does that mean you need to offer as many items that you currently offer on your other menus in the same way? Absolutely not. So this is the sandbox. This is where you get to play. And I feel like you can make it a little bit easier on your staff while also really knocking it out of the park for your guests. So some things that are coming to my mind when I think about this is if I had a small-ish restaurant, so, under 100 seats, And I think, yeah, if I open my place for brunch, I know people will come. All right. So how do I sell it to my staff? Well, let's, engage them. This is going to be mostly back of the house I'm going to talk about, because honestly, I don't think it'll be that difficult, and I could be wrong, but I don't think it'll be that difficult to talk some front of the house people into working a brunch shift, especially if you have a couple of busters or food runners who would love to be servers, but they're not quite there yet when it comes to serving at your place for lunch or dinner. Maybe they don't have the experience or whatnot. Then brunch would be a enticing way of having that kind of entry level serving position. Like, okay, well, I can put you on as a server for brunch, and we see how you do over the next couple of months, right? So not to mention, servers are usually hungry for money, and if they happen to not work, a Saturday night or a Friday night shift, or if they just need extra money and don't mind rolling out of bed early to get there and serve brunch for a couple hours, I just don't think it'll be that difficult to cover a brunch shift. Okay, so that's one. So let's just focus on the back of the house. That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be a hard one. So if you get your chef, or if you're the chef, or whoever's kind of in charge of your kitchen, maybe you have a kitchen manager, maybe you have a sous chef, take the top people that kind of make the decisions, that, your really go-to people in the kitchen, have them involved from step one, even though they're going to probably say, absolutely not, I hate brunch. Nobody does brunch anymore, blah, blah, blah. All untrue, right? Well, that part they hate might be true, but people are going to brunch forever, and it's not going anywhere. So get them involved, saying, hey, let's just look at it. I'm not even saying let's try it temporarily yet. I'm saying let's just look at it. What could a menu look like? And if you can get them involved on that creativity level, you might eventually get some buy-in from them. So, okay, when I'm thinking about doing brunch, I'm thinking like, I love donuts. Like, who doesn't love donuts, right? So we here in the South Shore have a couple of small independent like donut places, and almost like donut vendors that actually don't have a brick and mortar yet, but sell out of like a garden center, like, little companies like that happen to make like absolutely delicious, wonderful donuts. See if you could partner with them. So let's say that you can. Let's say you know someone and they don't really have a brick and mortar yet, but they are making great donuts, and you say, hey, can you deliver, or can you come into my restaurant and make them here on these weekends? What would that partnership possibly look like? So that could be one. That could be a big boxed out menu portion of your brunch, where you offer some donut flavors of the day, and you can certainly, change that every single weekend based on ingredients, what you're feeling, whatnot, and really focus on highlighting donut holes, full donuts, however you want to do it, donut cake. I don't know. I'm trying to just think creatively here. And you have that section, which, if that works for you, really takes all of the pressure so far off of your kitchen staff, because you're hiring or using an outside vendor to produce this portion of the menu, which you're going to highlight, put at the top, you're going to border it, and you're going to say, everyone's going to want these donuts with their coffee, and the coffee's front of the house, who you already know is willing to be there. Okay, so we have that. Let's move down the menu to, okay, so what's the savory stuff? Yeah, I mean, a typical kind of higher end chef may not want to be flipping eggs. Like, I totally understand that, but we actually have to serve the public as well. So where is the happy medium there? Maybe it's a condensed menu where you're going to do the scramble of the weekend, and that's easy enough, right? You could actually make a scrambled egg base. You can make it in a way where it's signature to you, whether you add a little truffle oil to it or however you want to do it, make it signature to you. Maybe it's just a very plain butter, salt, and pepper base, and then you recommend some combinations of different meats or vegetables. You know what I'm talking about. A scramble, either a scramble or an omelet. That's it. Maybe you don't even offer, over easy, over light, or sunny side eggs. Maybe you don't. Maybe if the chef, if you're like, that's just too much, the chef doesn't want to deal with breaking the, whatever it is, fine. Then don't do that. Don't do it. Just have a scramble and an omelet, because both will use the same egg base, and then you just need the prepped meat and vegetables, which can be done by your prep staff the day or two before, while they're already there prepping for dinner. So that's all done for you, other than the egg base, which honestly, you can honestly buy that as well, already done for you, like the egg beaters type they make for restaurants. So that's that. Then you're going to do some toast, which again, you could do something custom, like a thick sliced country style bread that you bring in from a local vendor, a bread vendor. Maybe even your donut person can take on that responsibility for you. This is how I'm getting creative with it. Fruit, maybe a yogurt parfait if you kind of like designing that. Maybe have the servers create the yogurt parfaits that they then cover and put in the fridge and serve when they're ordered. Something like that. So you're just taking as much of the responsibility as you can off of the back of the house staff that would work that morning. So here's what I'm getting at, if it's not already obvious. If you're trying to sell this to your kitchen team, you'll say, okay, here's a menu that I'm thinking of. Love your input, because you got to get the buy-in from them. So then once you're done, you could say, listen, I know that I'm asking you to kind of, after a Saturday, busy Saturday, to roll out of bed and get here early. I get it. But if you're willing to do this, you're just going to have to, make eggs and omelets. That's it. So you could basically do it with your eyes closed. We're going to have everything prepped. We're going to make this menu super simple. Another thing is maybe you have some garde prep cooks, dish porters, things like that, who would love to work their way up into the kitchen, but aren't quite there skill-wise yet. Maybe you can start them in brunch. Maybe they'd be willing to come in and do brunch because they know this is the starter for them to be able to move onto the line for dinner. So you could also do it that way. And so in another way you could sell, if you could do that, if you could say, listen, teach these guys how to scramble some eggs with some stuff or make an omelet. And you could basically roll out of bed, still half asleep, sit in a folding chair behind the line, maybe not that, and just watch and just point and just be like, yep, do that, don't do that. They won't have to lift a finger. You just need them to be there, of course, somebody from the kitchen that's higher up. But maybe you're using the other staff that's more in the other positions where they're getting their feet wet and they're learning more how to use the line, how to cook, and you do it with the brunch. And, you still create an amazing menu that everyone's going to love. All right. Hopefully, I could keep talking about that forever, but I'm hoping you're kind of picking up what I'm putting down when it comes to selling your chef, your sous chef, your kitchen manager on doing brunch. Get the buy-in first and then design it in a way where it's not on their shoulders, that there is a way to do this where they really just have to kind of oversee it. And the benefit of that is, the guys that would love to be on the line but aren't there yet, this is their entry level in. It could be a win-win for everybody. I would not recommend extra pay if there's salary for the managers, but obviously you're going to pay all the other cooks hourly. But you could work that out. You could work that out if you want a bonus brunch pay, or I don't know how you do that, to be honest with you. That's completely up to you. I wouldn't love to start there because I feel like there's no end when you put that out there. It's more, we need more sales during the week. This is one way to get them. And we already have, we have the space, we have the rent we're already paying on the space. We have the space. It's not making any money here these hours. We know there's people out here in this community that would love to come in and eat and spend money. And here's how we're going to do it. And it's going to be easy. So there's that. So then we get back to the menu, just say you're really going to focus on these outsourced donuts and maybe a bread basket. I love that idea. The bread basket, maybe some jams, so some locally produced jams you can just bring in. Again, all of this, you're partnering with local vendors and their community. So that's maybe more customers, new customers for you, less work for you. Then doing a basic savory menu that's easy can be to produce in-house by using the lower labor, for lack of a better term. And then, of course, you're going to have your coffee. You could probably bring over some of your mocktails for some delicious, juice beverages that will sell because they'll look great and fun in the morning. Oh, and then, of course, you're just going to have to do some type of pancake. But honestly, anyone could cook a pancake, too, I would like to think. So that's the menu. And here's the thing. You don't have to go cheap on this. So I know I've said in previous episodes, and I'm going to say it again right now. If 10%, or maybe just under, but if 1 in every 10 people, guests, are not complaining about your prices, they're not high enough. That's true in so many areas. I'm going to say it's also very true in the restaurant industry if you can pull it off. So you want to be right there on the cusp of some people saying, yeah, it's really good, but man, that's expensive. I feel like that's where you want to be. That's how I know you can make money and still please guests. Because if they're saying, yeah, this place was great, it just costs a lot, but doesn't deter people from coming, it might deter that person, that 1 in 10, but not the other 9. But if you have nobody at all complaining about your prices at all, I think you're leaving money on the table. So even though it might sound great, like 10 out of 10 people giving us 5 stars, they love it here. That's great, but chances are you may not be making as much money as you could or you should be. So push the envelope a little bit. Brunch is brunch, man. It is not meant to be cheap. And I know you're going to always have those people out there being like, this is eggs. How can you charge me this much money for eggs? They're not paying for the eggs. They're paying to be able to sit in your restaurant that you pay rent, utilities, all your occupancy costs for. They're paying for you to have your entire kitchen staff or part of your kitchen staff come in early in the morning after a Saturday night, prep a new kitchen, have a whole new menu. They're paying for you to manage new products that you don't normally serve at lunch or dinner time. That's right. They're not paying for the eggs. They're paying for everything else. And if they don't want to pay for it, then they don't have to go to your restaurant. So I'm not saying that that's what you need to say to anybody. I'm just saying that you should know that for yourself. So of course you're going to have 1 or 2 people say, I can't believe they charged me $16, $18 for eggs. You need to know that that's not what you're charging. Okay. I mean, that might be what you're charging, but it's not for the eggs. It's for everything. It's for the plate. It's for the fork. It's for the coffee cup. And yeah, you're going to pay extra for the coffee. So it's important that you do that. So I would say you can charge more for brunch, assuming that you can execute it. And a lot of that is going to come in the visual execution. So for example, if you're going to offer a basket of goodies, a basket of assorted fresh, baked donuts or whatever it is, and you're going to charge $20 for that, 18, say whatever it costs, then just make sure that you're using a really nice basket and you're filling it up. So size is important here, that you're able to overflow fill it with donuts. So maybe if you don't want to give, a table of 4, 20 donuts, then use a smaller basket, but overfill it. So when it's delivered, it's eye-popping. The other people in the restaurant see it and nobody can complain or should complain because it looks like you have an overflowing basket of donuts, right? Or your bread basket that you're going to offer. And maybe that's what you offer instead of toast. We have a bread basket. You know where I'm going with this. I can come up with ideas all day long and, reach out to me if you want any more. But that's just how you do it. And then the same with the actual eggs, bacon, toast portion, right? So be very mindful of your plate size so that you can fill it up so that when those servers or food runners are walking out of the kitchen, those plates look full, overloaded. Oh my God, I don't care if you use a 7-inch plate, 6-inch, whatever makes it look that way. The visual of this is so extremely important. And I do not understand why so many restaurants fall short on this point. It speaks volumes. And if you need the visual, one of the things I can't stand when I go out, like to a casual, like a pub or something like that, with my kids or a friend, and we order like a burger and fries, let's say, when the order of fries looks tiny compared to the plate, compared to the burger, compared to whatever, it is just upsetting. And there's no reason for it. Like, it's fries. Like, you just pissed me. Like, there's no reason for that. Like, either overload me with fries because it probably only costs you another 40 cents to do so, or shorten the plate that you're using so I don't look like you just completely gypped me on the fries. And I know you know what I'm talking about because it does happen a lot. Oh my God, who did this recent? Well, not that recent. TGI Fries, maybe? TGI Fridays, like when they revamped, a location opened up in Foxborough and they did this promotion of like unlimited fries. I think it's a chain. I think it's TGI Fridays. I could be wrong. Or maybe it's just called Fridays now. So they did this thing about unlimited fries. But here's the thing. When they brought out your original order with the burger and the fries, it's like a little cup and it had it was not even like half full. And just because they said, I remember sitting at the bar and I normally would not complain about this. It's just something I would bitch about internally. But I think I even said something to the bartender, like, what just happened with the fries? It almost looks like half fell on the floor. Like, where'd they go? Oh, but it's unlimited. Like that. No, I don't care, because now you just created work for me that I have to go and ask for more, and then almost look like no. So the visual of it is a lot, and if you can get the right size plate and design the right size portions of whatever it is that you're selling, so it looks overly abundant, then you'll have way less people complaining about the prices. So I do highly recommend, to make this worth it for you, you put those prices up there to a good clip, enough that you feel a little uneasy about it. You put them there. You can always bring them down later. Not that I really recommend that, but put them up there. Not obscene, but certainly not average. You want to go just above that, and because you want to make brunch worthwhile. And we really need to kind of figure out how we want to track separately how you're making money on this. We want the profit margin to be big. We want the staff to be happy and making money. And another perk of this is the final thing, because I know I'm at 20 minutes. So the final thing I'll say on this is another perk, and this is what we did in my restaurant. I think it's what made me love brunch, and I think some of the other people that we were working with, is at the end when brunch is over, and you could do brunch from 10 to 1, like a short period. It'll go by like this. You stop sitting at 1:30, let's say you're done. Everyone starts to leave. And then you could have a big late brunch, early pre-service with your staff. So everyone that got up early and work, now they get to sit down, they get to eat all the leftover donuts, the bread, the chef, or not the chef, maybe it's, whoever you brought up to work brunch, make a huge batch of eggs, and then you sit down together, drink some coffee late in the afternoon, and you have this amazing family meal together using all the brunch stuff, because that's normally fairly cheap stuff. You gotta get rid of the donuts anyway, because they're not going to last till next weekend. So it's a great way to bring everyone together, and that might, believe it, even though they might not admit it, it'll probably make people want to work brunch, just because they get to have that amazing breakfast at the end. And if you're open that night for service, if you still plan on opening that night for service, just have that staff come in maybe an hour earlier, maybe if they want, and say, hey, we're going to do pre-service early on Sunday, for example, because we're closing down brunch, and we're going to use all the brunch stuff, and that's what's going to be. So if you really want a hot, decent pre-service today, a pre-meal today, come in a little bit early, and you can sit down with all of us. And that's a great way to connect after a busy weekend. So that's it. I probably have more to say on this, but I'm already after my 20-minute mark, and I like to keep these short. So I hope that gave you some ideas, taking kind of the evil factor out of brunch. Maybe how you can sell it to your kitchen is probably the people who hate it the most, but there is probably a way to at least give it a shot. Maybe you just do it during the summer. I don't know. I just look at it again. Bring in your staff, get creative, see what it could look like, see what kind of fun things that you could offer. Then look at the profit margin and what you could be charging for that. Maybe you just do a family meal type of brunch. You could do that as well. Maybe you do buffet. I mean, I do love buffet. I love buffet. I think people either love them or hate them. Maybe that's all you do. You do you. This is just some food for thoughts. Pardon the pun. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again so much for watching or listening to episode 30 of No Reservations. Have a great day.